Hi you guys, my name is Anna and welcome to today's video. Today I will be showing you how I cover up some of my mild acne on my face and get a clean and slate base. As you can see, I have some mild acne on my face. It is not the worst, but my skin isn't also perfectly clear, so therefore today I will be showing you some tips and tricks which I have to cover up the redness of some of my pimples, how I deal with some dry patches and all of that. And additionally, I will be giving you a few product options, some higher end, some more budget proof ones, so you can get these products yourself as well depending on your budget. So yeah, without any further ado, if you want to see how I cover it up, then please keep on watching and also don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I would love to have you here as a part of the family, and we'll just go right into the tutorial right now. So, as for the first step, we will be priming our face. For primer, I have a few options. I like to switch like every other day with my primer because my skin tends to vary a lot with the oiliness, with the dry parts. So, I have a few options here. First up is the high-end one. This is the Guerlain L'Or Radiant Base Foundation. It has gold particles in it. It is really good to get a tacky kind of base. It just feels like your makeup sticks onto it really well, and it also does pretty good for my skin. However, it's like $70 or something, so it's really up there in price, but I really like it, so this is one option if you're really a primer fanatic. Next up, we have the Smashbox Photo Finish Foundation Primer. This has also been a favorite of mine. It makes my skin feel very soft. So whenever I have days where I feel like my pores are very enlarged, I like to grab this baby. It just makes your skin feel very velvety and very smooth, and it also moisturizes a bit, which I love. Then last up we have the primer which I will be using today. This is the Too Faced Hangover Primer. This has been one of my favorites just because it feels like it moisturizes my skin very well, and my skin just feels very healthy throughout the whole day. I don't have any dryness on my skin whenever I use this baby, so today we'll be using this. So I'm just taking some onto my finger and then I'm distributing the product over my face. I know these are not all very budget proof, but unfortunately I don't really have a primer which is budget proof and seems to work for me. However, if you do have one, please just let it know in the comments down below so we can all help each other out to save some money as well. But I like to really invest into my primers just because it's something which I wear every day underneath my makeup, and I want to protect my skin, of course, and don't cause any more blemishes and redness. So therefore I like to invest a bit more into my primers. One tip which I have is letting the primer dry a bit before applying your foundation. I feel like this makes the primer a bit more sticky and it lets it do its job better than when you go directly on with the foundation and not letting the product dry enough. So now that the primer had some time to dry down, I'm now going to be color correcting. This is a step which some of you may want to skip just because you feel like it's not necessary, but I always like to cover up some of the redness because, as you can see, some of my parts are intensely red, like on my forehead, here and here. I want to cover those up very well, and therefore I will be color correcting today. For the color correcting, I will be using the Kiko Milano Skin Tone Concealer in 01. This is a mild green concealer, which is the opposite color of red, so therefore it will cancel out the redness when we will be applying our foundation. So just taking some of the product, I will be dotting it on some spots which I have on my face here. I'm not going to be covering my whole face, just the spots where I feel like there's just too much redness and I want to cover it up. So these are the spots which I want to color correct. Now for working in the product, you can of course use your fingers, make sure they're clean, but I always like to use a smaller foundation brush. For that today I will be using the MAC Cosmetics 132 foundation brush, and I use it just to lightly tap in the product like so. I always like to use the softer brush because most of my pimples and my acne spots are very sensitive, so when I will pack on them with my fingers it may sometimes like kind of even hurt, so therefore I like to use a soft brush like this one. And you can see I'm just working in the product, blend it a bit with the parts that you have around it like so. So as you can see, it does cancel out the redness a lot, but not yet everything, so therefore we'll be moving on to foundations. As for foundations, I have a few recommendations for you. I have some which are a bit more higher end, and actually only one that is a bit more budget proof, just because it's very hard for my skin tone to find foundations in the drugstore, just because their color range doesn't go as light as my skin tone, so therefore I used to always tend to grab something that is more higher end. First recommendation which I have for you is the Bobbi Brown Skin Stick Foundation. Mine is in the color Alabaster 00, which is the lightest color which their foundation range holds. They have a pretty wide variety of skin colors, so I would definitely recommend checking them out if you're looking for a good skin stick foundation. One thing which I will say is that when you have some dry patches, this is not the best foundation for you, just because it will really cling onto those dry patches and make them even more visible. So if you have a bit more of oily skin, definitely go and check this one out. Next up is one of my new favorite foundations. This is the Lancome 10 Idol Ultra Wear, and this is in the color 008. This is once again the lightest color which they hold in their foundation range, but it works really well for me. I really like the color. It wears really good throughout the whole day. It provides the coverage which I want, so I really like this one. So therefore I'll be using this one today. Last high-end foundation recommendation which I have is in this tiny teeny bottle. This foundation is the Estee Lauder Double Wear Stay in Place foundation. As some of you may know, their foundations don't have a very good option for very light skin tones and very dark skin tones. They're just kind of in the middle there. So I never really got to test them out, but a few weeks ago I went to the Estee Lauder brand experience, and there I found that they have some new shades coming out. So with a little tool which they use, I think it was like the eye match, they match my foundation, and I am in the color 1N0 Porcelain. So this is a little sample which they got me. Luckily it's amazing. I can't wait to buy the full size one, but I've not been able to get my hands on it yet. It's not sold in stores, it is sold out online, so up until now I've been using this little one, so I hope this will last me until I can get the full one. But this is also a really good recommendation. They provide very high coverage. It wears amazing throughout the whole day. I think it's like my favorite one, but unfortunately I still have like a small bottle one, so I like to save this one for special occasions. And then last up, I have a bit more of a drugstore type one. It's still kind of up there in price, but it's not the most expensive foundation in the world. This is the NYX Total Control Drop Foundation. I have the shade 05 Light, and I like to use this one especially on some days where I have less problems with my acne, just because this foundation is very buildable. So whenever I have a good skin day, I don't want to cake up my whole face again with the very high coverage foundations which I use whenever I do have more problems with my skin. So therefore I like to use this one as well on some better days. But as for today, I will be using the Lancome 10 Idol Ultra Wear. This is a really good one, and I will be applying it with a Kat Von D number 10 brush. Another brush which I really like to use is the Sigma F80 brush, but I used this one like yesterday on my mom, so I still need to clean this one. But this is also a very good recommendation if you're looking for a foundation brush. I don't really like to use the sponges anymore. I've kind of grown out of those ones, and I think that brushes do a way better job with keeping the coverage which I want, because else when I use like a little beauty blender, it takes up so much product, and with the coverage which I seek, I have to use way more product than when I'm using a brush. So I'm just taking some of this onto my finger, and then I will be dabbing on the product over my face. And as you can see, I am applying a lot, just because I want the high coverage and I want to cover all of the blemishes and the redness. But if this isn't for you, then don't apply that much. Now I'm just going to be taking my brush to work in the product. And as you can see, it covers up the redness of my face so well. On that cheek right there, I just had a ton of redness and pimples, but you can't see it really anymore now. And it also blends out really quick with these foundation brushes. And this is what it looks like now that I have the foundation all blended in. So now it's on to the next step, which is concealer. So for concealers I only really have 3 recommendations, and there is only one which I like to use every single day, which is my well beloved MAC Pro Longwear concealer, and this is in NC15. This has just been like my holy grail, my everyday go-to concealer for I don't know how long. It just doesn't disappoint me. I have tried other ones, but somehow I always keep coming back to this baby, so I will be using this one today. As for a cheaper option, I also really like the MYX HD Studio Photogenic Concealer in NW00. This is also one which just works really well for me. It feels very moisturizing underneath the eyes. It has a good color for me. So I also really like this one, but just not as much as the MAC concealer one. And then last up, if you're seeking that very high coverage, which even sometimes goes a bit too far for me, I have the Kat Von D Lock-It Concealer. This is in the shade L1 Neutral, which is a very light shade. It's like damn near close to like just a white color, but it works very well whenever I really want to highlight my under eyes, if I really want to have that bright look. This one works very well. However, it is a bit more of a thick consistency, so if you have some more dry parts underneath your eyes, then I wouldn't really recommend this one, just because it really clings on to those dry patches and it just makes it more visible. But as for now, I will be using the MAC Pro Longwear Concealer, so I'm just taking a little synthetic brush which is like non-brand, and I'm taking some concealer on the back of my hand, like 2 pumps, and I will take some onto the brush and apply it on my under eye area. And on the part which I want to highlight a bit more. And also still a little bit on some spots to get it all seamlessly worked away. And now, as for blending this product out, I do like to take a makeup sponge. So today I'm just going to be using the Givenchy makeup sponge one. I have a whole review on this one on my channel where I test out this brush or this makeup sponge for the first time. I will link that video somewhere here, so if you're interested in this makeup sponge you can see it there more in detail. However, it is a really old video, so be prepared. And I always like to blend out the under eye concealer last, just because I feel like the warmth of my skin just warms up the product a bit, and it makes it easier to get in between those fine lines which you have underneath your eyes, or at least I do, but so that is it for the foundation and the concealer. Right now my face is looking very, white. It looks like a white paper. So I want to bring some more depth into it, some more warmth. So therefore I will be cream contouring. As for cream contour, I only really have one option. I've never found a drugstore product which I really like for this one. I only use my well beloved Anastasia Beverly Hills Cream Contour Palette, and this is the Light Kit, and I really like to take this middle shade right here. I think this one is called Light Scope. This is one of my favorite ones, and I just like to take a little angled synthetic brush for this one, go through the product like so to pick up some product, and then sculpt out my forehead, my cheekbones, and underneath my nose to kind of shorten it a little bit. Some of this product over my forehead. Don't do too much because else it kind of looks weird, but some for the cheekbone right there. And some underneath my nose. One thing which I also like to do is apply some underneath my bottom lip, because it gives a really plump effect. As for blending this out, I really like to use my Sigma 3D HD Kabuki brush, just because this is a angled kabuki brush, so it just works really well to sculpt out those cheekbones. So right now I'm just working in this product. It's so blendable, and with this brush you can also work really quick, which I really like. And now as for the forehead, I always like to pull back my hair a little bit, just so I can really work it well into that hairline. So we have a seamless transition. Like this. It gives a bit more of a sun-kissed type of look, which I really like. It brings some more depth into it. It kind of lowers my hairline as well. So that is a cream contouring step which I have, and now I'll be moving on to setting my face to make this beautiful slate look last all day long. So as for setting the face, you have a few different techniques which you can try out to see which one works the best for you. But I have one which works really well for me. It makes my foundation look seamless all day long. My under eye area looks so smooth, so I really like this technique which I use. For that I will be baking a part of my face, not all, and I will be setting some with just some pressed powders. But first we'll be doing the baking step. For the baking I like to use the Kat Von D translucent setting powder. It just looks like this, and it's one of my favorite loose powders which I own. I don't have a very good option for other loose setting powders, just because they've never compared to this one. I think that the Laura Mercier translucent one, I tried it once from my friend Shannon. That one is really good as well, but this one is just more for me. And Shannon also said that the Laura Mercier one works better when you have a more oily skin, and this one works more if you have some dry patches, so this one is perfect for me. So for the baking step, I will be taking this NYX Duo sided sponge. I like to use this white side right here to pack up some powder. So I'm just going to be going into this, pick up some powder, tap it off just a little bit, and then I need a mirror. And then I will just be packing this onto the under eye area. Some people also like to bring down the loose setting powder down their nose to get somewhat of a nose contour going on. I don't really like to do that. I just like to apply it underneath my eyes and underneath my cheekbones right here. But therefore I still need to set my cheekbones. So for setting my cheekbones today, I will be going into the Anastasia Beverly Hills Contour Kit Light to Medium. This is one of my favorite ones. Their middle shade is perfect if you have a very fair skin like I do. So just going in with a Sigma large angled contour brush. This is the F40 one. I'm just tapping up some of the excess, and I'm just going to be setting this, working it in a bit, making that contour slate. And after that I'm just going to be going in with that same sponge, pick up some product again, and just create a very straight snatched line underneath the contour. And now that that is set, I'm going to be picking up some more product again and just make a beard. Now, as for the time for which you want to keep your bake on, that is totally up to you. I know that some people like to keep it on for about 5 minutes, but I just like to wait and see how it feels. Once my under eye area feels too drying, I like to take it off. That is most of the time somewhere between 3 and 4 minutes, just because I don't want a dry under eye area, just because that makes my eyes very teary throughout the whole day, and it just really sucks when you have beautiful eyeshadows on and your eyes are tearing up all of the time. So therefore now I'm just going to be waiting for this, and in the meantime I can set my forehead and my nose and my chin. For that I like to use a pressed powder, and therefore I have some few options. The first palette which I have for that, which I already showed you, is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Contour Kit Medium or Light to Medium. They have this top shade right here, which works really well for me, but sad thing is the compound is very small, so it's kind of hard to get into with a big fluffy brush. So another option which I really like to use is the Shade and Light Kat Von D palette. They have their top left shadow as well, which is this one. It's kind of the same color, only this compound is a little bit bigger, so it's kind of easier to get into with your brush. And then last up, a more budget-proof friendly one is the NYX Highlight and Contour Pro palette. This one, I like to go into this shade right here to set the rest of my face, but for today I will be going into the Kat Von D Shade and Light palette. I will be using a Sigma Large Powder F20 brush, and I will be going into this top shade right here. As you can see, it works really well with this brush, and I will just be packing it onto the forehead, bring it down the nose and onto my chin. So I think my bake has been on right now for long enough, so I will be taking the Kat Von D number 20 brush just to loosely wipe away the powder. So we're now on to the last step, which is setting our face. For this I like to use the MAC Cosmetics Fix Plus. This is just because it takes away the extra powders which I still have left on my face. Just because we went in with a whole lot of layers of creams and powders, and I just want the excess to be away so that it gets a very seamless look. Other setting sprays which I like a lot are the Urban Decay All Nighter Makeup Setting Spray. I like to use this one whenever I go out and I want my makeup to withstand the heat of like a crowded room. This one is really good for that one. And a more budget-proof friendly one is the NYX Matte Finish Setting Spray. This one also works really well. I like to use this one whenever I go to school. I don't like to wear as much as I do now, but I still want my foundation to keep in its place all day, so therefore I like to use this one. But as for now, we'll be going in with the MAC Cosmetics Fix Plus. Just spray your face. So now that our face is really wet, I like to take a little card and just wipe over my face so it dries up a bit quicker. And like I said, this just takes away the excess powder which we have on our face. It blends it all together again, and it just really makes that cakiness go away of the foundation. So now that my face is like semi-dry, it takes some time to dry down completely, but I'm already happy with how it's looking now. I'm going to be moving on with the rest of my face. I will be doing my eyebrows and just some eye makeup, and then I will be back in a few. That dog just keeps on barking and barking and barking. Ah! Please. Please just stop. For 3 minutes. There's so many background noises and I just want to film my outro. Please. Like, it's not even my dog, it's like my neighbor's dog, and I can't discipline that fucker. So you guys, I just finished off the eyebrows and I did a pretty eye look. I have a tutorial on this as well. It is my previous video in which I did an eye look with the Sigma Warm Neutrals Volume 2 palette. You can check that out if you want to. But this is the final look, you guys. As you can see from the beginning of this video and now, all of the redness of my face is covered up. All of the attention is drawn to the eyes in this look, and there is no distraction with any blemishes and redness. Once again, I would like to say that this is my way of covering up my blemishes. I like a very full coverage type of look. Oh my god, this dog won't stop barking. So as I was saying, once again, I would like to express that this is my way of covering up my blemishes and my redness. It is a very full coverage type of face. This may not be your thing, but it is my thing. If you don't like it, you don't have to try it, you don't have to do it. You can just keep it natural and be your beautiful self like you are, but I'm not. So this is just my way of doing it. So on that note, I would like to thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. Please leave down any tips and tricks which you have, any product recommendations, just so we can share it with everyone and we can all learn a bit. So on that note, thank you very much for watching, and I would love to see you in the next tutorial. Bye bye!